There's always something better than the bin from Home Depot. And don't get me wrong, I love Lowe's.
You almost just said I love hose.
We sold my parents' house for that exact reason, 5,500 square feet.
I don't know what inspired this gentleman, but he worked there, and he took my hand and walked me down through. And I thought to myself, I could see
That's
taking
the
my
best.
hand, but just can you imagine taking the hand of like some beefy contractor?
There is an awareness that I have of like, I don't want to be asking you questions that you've been asked a million times before. And like, I don't, I mean, especially because it's just can be hard to answer a question you've been asked a million times before.
We're not
Oh my
famous
God, I feel so
celebrities.
famous right now. Oh my God,
when,
Jinx.
when they do those,
Jinx 1, 2, 3.
Well, no, they do those 10-hour sessions and they walk in and they sit in the room and they get interviewed and they answer the same questions. Nobody is remembering we answered this
I'm gonna
question.
be like,
Totally.
you know what? No, I've never been asked this question before, but I'll keep it brief.
Well, and also because it's like I've seen clips of the things that you've done, but I've never been there for like the whole conversation that you're having. But I will just let me say this really quickly because I actually think it's really interesting. I actually do think the fact that you're a licensed architect and the fact that you have a background in it's interior design, right?
Yeah.
Not interior like decor.
No.
Like it's actually really fucking interesting, and it is not something that like every duo of real estate agents like.
You're right.
There's a level of expertise that you both have to bring to the table that I do think could be underestimated. So like I just like watching you both slowly but surely like light up as you talk about like the details, like it's really interesting.
Well, you're making a really valid point. One, the way we're talking now probably feels more organic, and we should just continue the way we're talking now. Two, I have a tendency to downplay it and also think about, does anybody want to listen to this? And then I've been trying to force myself to think about it from the lens, we're going to be ourselves, and if you like our expertise and knowledge, then you're going to listen. If it's not the right fit and we're not trying to wow you with some viral moment, then that's what we're trying to achieve. So I'm just being mindful, like, how do I get to the point of this quickly? But maybe I don't have to get to the point of it quickly. And that architecture is a complex thing that reflects the way you live and how you interact. And ultimately, all these elements combined into what makes a home. And to ignore them is pretty foolish. Like, it's not just square footage. The size of a home does not dictate the quality of the home by any means. You could have... It's like saying, well, what if you had a living room that's 5,000 square feet? Does that make it better? No. Hey, over there. No, it's about utilizing the space efficiently in the most beneficial way. They've done studies where no matter how big your home is, you typically don't roam outside of 2,000 square feet.
Right.
So basically you have 10,000. Some of these people have all this home that doesn't get utilized.
No, it's totally true.
Absolutely.
We sold my parents' house for that exact reason. It was like 5,500 square feet, and they used maybe 1,500 square feet of it. And it's totally 100% true.
I think something that I would love to talk to you both about, because this might be something that's hard to put into words, but let's see if we can like work together to try, because I think it's really interesting. Where I would imagine that it would be beneficial to have an architect as a real estate agent, and ditto interior design, even though it comes from it's like a slightly different angle. But if I were to imagine buying a house where the people that are helping me make that decision are people that have a background in architecture or interior design, is that it helps you to see the potential in a house that someone might not otherwise see. Like, I just would imagine that when you are both, let's say, doing an initial walkthrough of a place, you look at that raw clay with eyes that not everybody would be able to look at it with. So I wonder, can you guys think of a time where you maybe went to go see a house for the first time? And I don't know what the process is like around you two deciding that this is a house that you want to take on to sell. Maybe we can talk about that process if you want, but can you think of a time where you both went into a space and had a conversation with each other about the potential, or what you would want to do with it, or how you would explain to a potential buyer what you think they can do with it? There's a part of me that wants to see your job through your eyes, like what happens when you go into a space.
We should do day in the life for sure. When we do that, we do that. I mean, I can just say right now, like Mulholland one that we sold, last summer, we went into it. It had been a wreck from a tenant. It was perfect, but we knew right away. We knew it wasn't just a ranch. It was a storybook ranch. We knew we just saw it. We could see the architecture, the bones. So we started with that. So we knew right away how it needed to feel for the right buyer. And so luckily the owner was saving it from itself, saving it from the tenant, but there was choices to make. There was the kitchen floor had seen better days. It was wood that was definitely going to have to go. But there was no budget to replace the entire kitchen. We weren't going to be knocking down walls because it wouldn't keep it a period piece. So we knew right away. We just started. It was actually, it's really easy for us to make punch lists of what needs to be done because we start with the box. We know what the architecture is, and then it just goes from there. And then we make a dream budget, like, hey, if this was my house, what I would do. And then we make an appropriate budget of what we can do to make sure that it's at least turnkey for the next person. And that one was a success. I mean, we made a really good, outstanding floor choice to pop the kitchen because we couldn't get rid of the cabinets that were from the 50s. And that owner called us and she was like, who made that floor choice? Because she let us just do whatever. She was out of town, and she gave us her trust. But you can give us your trust because we have the experience.
100%.
And it was a pop, and a lot of people would remember, and it was great. We did it on purpose because people remember that listing from the picture of the kitchen.
That is so amazing. It feels like it's like taking staging to the next level.
Yeah.
It's like it's one thing to stage a place. It's another thing to actually be like participating in the construction of
I love picking out hardware.
Yeah.
So
and you
that's
do a
just
great.
my thing.
Yeah.
I like to find the value. So for me, there's always something better than the bin from Home Depot. And don't get me wrong, I love Lowe's and Home Depot. If you want to sponsor
Lowe's
this, let
and
us
I think
know.
you almost just said I love hose.
Let me rephrase because I do mumble.
Lowe's and
I
Hose.
love Home Depot and Lowe's.
There's a
Articulate.
Lowe's in every area code.
There is.
There is,
And I know where they all are. People would walk in and they would look lost. I was going so often that I couldn't help myself. Are you looking for light bulbs?
Yeah,
Follow me.
exactly.
I'll never forget. I walked into one, and I don't know what inspired this gentleman, but he worked there. He worked there, and he took my hand and walked me down. And I thought to myself, I could see
That's the
taking my
best.
hand, but just can you imagine taking the hand of like some beefy contractor who does demo? I just thought, and I took his
That's so
hand.
sweet.
He was taking me right where we needed to go, and he
That's
just
so
he's like,
sweet.
here's where it is. So here's the big thing. I take it for granted, but what I really try to educate our clients on is that don't focus on the negative. And recently we heard this come up in the topic is that someone walks into a home and immediately finds everything wrong. They're probably not looking to buy. They're not really feeling inclined because although it's a headache redoing a kitchen or a bathroom or floor, it's done in a couple months and you get to enjoy it for decades. So there's no point in letting something that's movable deter you from buying something.
Yeah.
You can't move the house and you can't move the location, you can't necessarily change the orientation, but you can change everything else in a home. The average inventory in LA is like 60 years. The properties I have are probably built in the 20s and the 40s. The only thing that resembles that time period is the studs you don't see. Everything can be recreated and redone in a way that reflects your style or how you live. And I think that's also important. You need a lot of storage, let's add it. Do you want to optimize a room to make it so that could be both an office and a bedroom? All those things can come into play. So just we call it looking at the bones. Any good realtor has a good sense of it. Maybe we have a greater sense of it. But if you're not able to educate your client on the versatility of a property, you're not helping them.
Really, really important. I'd like to just touch on the fact that what Michael said, what's unique about Los Angeles real estate is that the inventory is 50, 60 years old. So it really requires an elevated level of education about different periods of homes and not just how to style them, but style them for the modern day lifestyle and understanding when they were built. I mean, we show properties all the time with original kitchens from the 20s, and I educate people all the time. Hey, this piece of cabinetry was actually what used to be a refrigerator there, because you'll find a lot of times that there's a random refrigerator in the laundry room. It's like not even in the
Right,
kitchen half the
right.
time. And you have to just understand that. So you have to be respectful towards the older architecture, but know which places it is appropriate to elevate the design for today's modern day. Because today we have real refrigerators. There needs to be space for those. So a lot of times that's when you'll update a kitchen, is when you have a kitchen like that.